Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, man. No pressure, no diamonds. My name is Alex Rose. We got my boy,
Thomas Solano, and we got a guest in the building today.
Special
guest.
In the building.
In the building.
In the building. I feel privileged. I'm in the building. I made it in the building.
Corey with the hat.
Corey.
That's right.
Corey with the hat, as you see, man. Man, it's a pleasure to have you, man. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. This is a long time coming.
Man,
It's a long time coming.
Has it been, man?
Yeah.
It's just amazing, man. Just to get people together, man, have good conversations.
Yep.
We got some good stuff to talk about today, so it'll be real interesting. Some stuff is gonna come off the top of the head. We like to do a lot. We like to do.
It's all good.
A lot of stuff off the top, man. So just to let everybody know, please smash that like button, comment, subscribe, share, of course. We're gonna share everybody's platforms as well, and we have some amazing things to talk about, man. 'Cause we got a book to talk about today too. Which is gonna be real great.
Love it.
But man, let's go ahead and jump this thing off, man. So Corey, I was just first things first. How are things going with you?
How are things going? That's a good question.
That's a broad question.
So we could go all
down
over
all
the place.
kinds of different avenues.
We go all over the place, man.
So blessed. Overall blessed. Obviously this past year, 2020 was crazy for everybody.
Sure.
And still in 2021, we know we're not out of it yet. But I'm thankful. My wife, my two children. I have a 13-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter. I'm growing her up already, right?
Which probably acts like a 12-year-old, right? They mature a little bit quicker.
She acts like a 27-year-old. That's what it is.
Man.
But, they're healthy. We've been blessed. And, we haven't gotten sick during this whole craziness. So I'm thankful, and even though it's been tough, the thing that I have to say is that believe it or not, some good things came out of it. For me and my wife, we spent a lot more time together than we have in the past because we're used to playing tag team. Like, okay, I'm home, you go to work, I'm home, this, that, and the other. But we were at home, so it was great to, really get to know the family as a whole. And then from that also business came out of it as well. So I'll say overall it's been a good thing.
Well, dive into it a little bit more because I wanted to know. I was on your Instagram. I was kind of like stalking a little bit and stuff, and no pun intended, but you wear many hats, right?
Many hats.
So author, consultant, coach, speaker, but then also still kind of dabbling in the corporate world. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
True.
Tell us a little bit about.
So and this is actually, just to tell you a little background, that's how Alex and I met. We met at the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, a company I've been with for years. I used to run one of the stores locally, and Alex came in one day as a regular customer.
Sure.
Stay regular.
Yeah. All the girls liked him when he came in. Just to let you know that.
Don't tell my wife, man.
He's got a ring on it. He's got a ring.
This was before. I haven't been there in a couple of years.
I hear you.
So what happened was I liked his energy, right? And he can attest to this. I said, after I introduced myself, I was like, I'm Corey, what's your name, man? Alex. Okay, cool. He gets his ice blendeds and all that. And then I was like,
I'm judging right now, bro.
He like grow up, Alex.
It's little cookies and cream. So anyway, I exchanged numbers. I was like, let's connect, because I really liked his vibe.
Sure. And
I really am big on connecting with like-minded people, and something about him just stood out to me. I was like, this guy's sharp, and we connected, and from there, built the relationship. I still continued to work at Coffee Bean, but I wanted to still kind of connect with some business people. I wanted to start getting my speaking going and consulting, and I knew I needed to network with some people, right? Mm-hmm. And because of that, I was able to meet some great people just through Alex and the team and everything. And so started speaking, I was able to do some speaking online. I started consulting this year, have the family. I started speaking in my company, doing, speeches at my company and then outside of the company. So yes, juggling a lot of hats because I know that there's a goal. The ultimate goal is financial freedom. That's what it is for me. Okay. And so I wanted to just put that in, and get that going so I can be free.
Sure. Well, why is that important?
Oh, man. I'm going to tell you like this. I honestly believe that, being financially free will give you your time as well. Right. Okay. And I believe if I had to pick between finance and time, I'm definitely going with time because I want to spend more time with the family. I want to be able to take them out on trips. Haven't been able to do that because I'm constantly working, right? One day I'll be able to go to Jamaica, right. And the Bahamas and all that. But, I figured that I'm going to put in this time now, do all the things that I can do that I have control over, generate as much money as I can so I can get that time back so I can spend it with the family.
Yeah. Yeah, the front load it, right? I read something the other day that actually it might have been this morning, but it said like there's a price to pay for easy, right? Like everybody wants like ease, right?
Yeah.
But the price to pay is that it has to be hard first.
Yes.
Meaning whether that's hard work or, overcoming adversity or whatever the case may be. But I love that you said that because it's the same reason why I'm on the journey that I'm on too, as well as, man, I want freedom of time. I want control of schedule and stuff. Yeah. So I totally relate to that. You had a post and it said, you were talking about the importance of goals and vision. Mm-hmm. But you said something that I'd never heard before, and I want you to elaborate on it. At the end, you said, like, have these goals, but make them plain. What does that mean?
Write the vision, make it plain. So basically, it actually comes from the Bible. We all have, we always hear, have a vision. A lot of entrepreneurs are visionaries, mm-hmm. right? Most of them are.
Right.
And when it comes to achieving goals, we want to write those down. But a lot of times what happens is we'll write it down in a notebook and we'll close it. And we don't look at that notebook again. We never get back to it. So what was the point of writing it down? So the purpose, if you want to achieve goals, is to not only write it down, but you want to put it up so you can constantly see what you have written. The more and more you see those goals, the more and more those goals start to come to fruition. So I say, not only write it in a notebook, but write it on a Post-it. Put it on the refrigerator, put it on the mirror, put it in your car. Everywhere you go, you want to constantly look because I believe that thoughts become things, right? And the more that you're seeing something, the more that you think about it, the more that those things will start to come to fruition. So that's what I meant by that. Write it down, make it plain.
Yeah. Okay. Oh. It sounded like it went out for a second. Okay. No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you saying that. Do you also practice the art of like affirmation? So not only writing it and reading it, but actually saying it?
Yes. You know what? I didn't. I didn't really start doing affirmations until probably about, and I'm going to be completely transparent here, 3 months ago.
Okay.
Probably about 3 months ago. And the reason I never, even though I've heard about affirmations and, saying it and all that, I just never did it. But then what I realized, I started paying attention to successful people and where they are. And I started to research what they do. And I said, okay, if, say an example, Steve Harvey, right? If he has all this success and he's saying, write it down. He's saying, you got to speak it, say it, and I'm listening to all these other successful business people. I was like, you know what? I'm going to copy them. So I just recently started affirmations and started saying it and looking in the mirror and saying who I am. Mm. I am successful. I am a businessman.
Speak right. As if.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So I just started doing it, and I honestly believe, and since I've done that, it's like, this may sound kind of corny, but it's like magic. Believe it or not, man, it's kind of crazy because things actually started happening. Literally over the last couple of days, things started happening that I couldn't believe. So yes, I truly believe not only writing it, but speaking it as well.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, and I think speaking it, man, because your belief level, because what you say can counteract what you think. So say if you have a bad thought, I think from one of our mentors we use this a lot. It's the it's not really intelligence. It's the thinking that guides the intelligence. Mm-hmm. But when you speak out loud, so you can have a bad thought. So you can have a bad, it could be anything. It could be somebody cut you off on the street, right? So somebody cuts you off driving on the street, and you could say, you could think, man, this mother, you could think that,
right?
But you'd be like, man, at least I'm getting home safe.
Yep.
I'm not in an accident. Man, I feel so good right now. So just imagine every time something like that happened, or if every time something, didn't go your way and you had a bad thought, but if you said something that counteracted that was like a yin to the yang of that bad thought, you could really train your thinking for those bad thoughts would start subsiding, over time, which would be kind of interesting.
Have you guys ever heard of, if I believe it, I can achieve it?
Mm-hmm.
You guys heard that, right?
Yeah.
Recently, I'll say probably over the last few months, I've always heard if you believe it, you can achieve it, right? But that seems so cliche because a lot of people would say it. And I started to think a little bit deeper about believing it and achieving it. And what I discovered that there's some steps in between the believing part and the achieving part that no one really talks about, right? Because what it is right. It's trust. And again, it goes to what I was saying a little bit earlier, like when it came to the believing part. So yes, I do believe it, right? But the next step after the believing part is the thoughts. Like I said, the thoughts. You got to think it. You got to constantly think about where you want to go. After the thinking is the action. Those thoughts, if you're constantly thinking, you're constantly saying affirmations, you're constantly writing down the vision, you're constantly looking at it, it will cause you to act in the direction that you need to go. And an example of that is, say, it's going to cause you to stay up a little bit later to, do some research. It's going to cause you to send that email when you don't want to send the email. It's going to cause you to make that sales call when you weren't really thinking about, but you're constantly thinking about. It's like, let me go ahead and make one more call, right?
Just one more, baby.
One more call. So then you got not only the thoughts, you have the action, and then after the action, what's important is your environment. You got to be around the right people, right? You got to be around people that are where you want to be, where you are or where you want to be. And on the flip side of that, you may have to cut off some people.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to surround yourself. Your environment needs to be around the people that where you want to be. If you want to be a successful business person, you need to be around successful business people. You want to be a millionaire? Surround yourself around some people that are making millions. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to cause you to achieve what you're believing. But most importantly, though, is the accountability. When you surround yourself around the people where you want to be, they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to check on you. They're going to ask, have you made that phone call? Hey, how many people did you talk to today? Did you send out that email? Did you write that chapter? Right? You say you want to write a book. Where are you on your book? Yeah. They're going to hold you accountable. And then what happens is the achieving part. So no one talks about those steps in between. They just say, if you believe it, you can achieve it. But it's all those steps in between that can help you get to the achieving part.
Yeah. There was a clip that I watched with, it was Oprah, and she was interviewing Jim Carrey, and she asked him about how he kind of had this crazy success, and she kind of knew the backstory. So try to make a long story short, basically he wrote himself a $10 million check. Yeah. Are you familiar with this clip?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And he puts it in his wallet, and so she's asking him, like, so there was manifestation, there was an attraction that, like, you were practicing, and he said, yeah, but I want you to understand that it wasn't just manifestation. Like, I didn't write the check, put it in my wallet, and then go make a sandwich, right? Like, you had to go to work. And I think that all of that stuff, like writing it down and saying it, understanding the human mind being a memory bank essentially, but it's programmable,
right?
As far as what you put in there. I think once we start to do that a little bit more, there's things that happen that we're more aware of.
Yes.
When we've spoke our goals and things like that, or somebody's very specific that we're looking for an opportunity, because I think that they're always around us and present, but we're not always open to them. And so when we start to speak them, right, they start to present themselves, and then the opportunity to take action arises, and there's more of a willingness to do so.
That's right.
Because you've spoken it.
You said it. You said it. I mean, we say that, what is it? When they say preparation meets opportunity, what they call that, luck, right? Luck. Oh, that's preparation meets opportunity. Well, I believe that the opportunity is already there, like you said. Yeah. But once you become aware, then you start to see it. It's just like buying that new car, right? You got that black Lexus. You're like, oh man, this is nice. But then every time you stop at that stoplight, you see another black Lexus. You see another black Lexus. It's like all these black Lexuses are around.
They were there the whole time.
They were always there. It's just that we weren't aware of it. Right. So when you become more aware, then you start to see those opportunities.
Yeah. It's interesting. What they call it, the reticular
activating system.
That's it, man.
RAS. Yeah.
The RAS, man. And, that's interesting. I was just, the people, like you said, the people are always around you, just making it, just becoming aware. Now, where did you get the kind of the thought and the idea to get into the coaching and personal health,
personal development?
Personal development. So what made you, feel like get into that field?
I've always been the one that everyone would go to whenever they had questions, wanted advice, be it finances or relationship. It's just, they always just came to me. So one day I decided, and this happened in 2020 is when I decided that, okay, I think I want to be a certified coach, right? So I did my research and researched a lot of coaches out there, got certified. And then I say, because if people are already coming to me anyway, it may be kind of smart to monetize that, right? Sure. I love giving advice and giving free advice, but then as I did more research, I started realizing that people are making a lot of money giving advice. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. I did not know that. And so that's when I decided that because people will come to me anyway, I realized, and as I prayed on it, that this is actually my purpose. I had a passion, and that's what actually brought me to LA and brought me to California, because I was very passionate about being in the entertainment industry.
Okay.
I was as an actor. So that's what brought me to LA back in the late 90s. I wanted to be a star, right? I wanted to have my star on the Walk of Fame and my name in lights. And so that's what brought me here. But what I discovered was that even though I was passionate about acting, that passion brought me to my purpose of helping and serving others. And that serving others is by mentoring, coaching, managing, helping others. That's what I just naturally do. So when I figured out that, this is what I just naturally do, and I don't even have to think about it, let me get certified in that and then make a business out of it. And that's how the personal development coach came.
Because I see you have a shirt, man. It says purpose over passion.
Yeah.
So what drove that philosophy?
So again, I'm going to tell you this quick story. So I went to school in North Carolina. I went to North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, North Carolina. I graduated in chemical engineering. And the only reason I went to school and majored in that is because of my parents. My mom wanted me to go to school. I
think that's most students.
Especially in our generation, right? So I went to school and I had to decide, okay, well, what I'm going to major? Well, engineering. I'm kind of smart in math and science. Okay, I'll do engineering. Okay. What part of engineering? Well, during that time, chemical engineering was the one that made the most money. So I decided, I'm going to go in chemie, make the most money. Fast forward, I graduated, walked across the stage. My mom was so happy. I got my degree. I walked over to her, gave her a big hug, and I gave her that degree. And I said, Mom, this is for you. I'm moving to Hollywood to pursue my passion. Now, I probably shouldn't have said that at that time because that was a real bad time. When I look back, I'm like, dang, I should have said it right then.
You should have waited till after the dinner.
I should have.
After graduation dinner.
Right in the heat of the moment.
Like, we going home.
Right. You know? So I did that. Of course, she was crushed. But I had a passion for acting. You know, that's where I wanted to be. So I told her that I'm moving to Hollywood to pursue my dreams. I saved up some money, drove 3,000 miles from North Carolina to LA, and started acting. But even though I've been in the industry a long time. I actually started as a kid in Chicago. But when I got to LA in 97, I started doing a few little gigs here and there. I did a little episode of Moesha with Brandy and them, and then I did The Parkers with Monique, and I did House, which was on Fox, the medical drama. I did all that.
I remember House, man.
I did that. I had a little episode. I mean, my lines got cut, but I still was in it, right?
Right.
Hey,
I still get a check.
you was there.
But what I realized, though, even though I used to work really, really, really hard, like I would get a script and I would break it down. I'll get the backstory, I'll cross out stuff, and I was like, create this character. And I would go out on auditions and I wouldn't get the job. And a couple of my boys, specifically one of my boys, he would go out on the same type of auditions and he would always book the job. But he never worked as hard as I did. He would not break down the scripts. He'll get it, look at it 5 minutes, and then go in, audition, and book the job, right? And one day I asked him, because I was in a theater company, I was in 2 acting classes, I had a professional photographer, took pictures, headshots. He had no acting classes, he had no theater company. He would go on auditions and give Xerox copies of his headshot and still book the job. So one day I asked him, I said, what is it that you're doing that makes you, book these jobs? Like, what do you do? And he was like, man, Cole, like, when I go in, I just do me. I didn't want to hear that. Like, I wanted to know step by step, like, when you walk in the room, do you say hi to the director first, and then you look at the producer? Like, do you speak a certain way? Because in my mind, I was thinking that if I did what he did, I would book the jobs too.
Well, you were thinking like an engineer.
There you go. I was trying to break it down.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but what I understood, years later, is that he wasn't lying when he said he was just being him. Mm-hmm. He was being him. It's just that he was naturally gifted and talented, and him being him booked the role. I was trying to be him. Mm-hmm. It's like,
wow.
I naturally write with my right. I'm right-handed. I naturally write with my right hand. But when you're writing, are you right-handed? Mm-hmm. You right-handed?
Left-handed.
You're left-handed. Ooh, check this out. So if I ask you to write your name, right? You'll get a pen. You write your name, right? You wouldn't even think about it. Same with you. You'll write your name. Wouldn't even think about it. You've done it thousands of times. But if I said, now take that pen and put it in your opposite hand and write your name, you're going to think about it a little bit. It's a little bit harder, right?
There's a focus.
You're focused. You're concentrating. You're working hard. Mm-hmm. And that was me acting. I was focused. I was concentrating, trying to get the job. I got it done. It just wasn't as good. Just like you can write your name with your opposite hand, it just may not be as good, right? Mm. So if you and Alex go into the room and to audition for a role, Alex is just being him. He books the job. Both you guys were writing your name. It's just that they wanted someone that wrote with their left hand. That's why he got it, because he naturally did it.
That wouldn't happen for real, something like that.
Man, I'm going in there. Hey, this is bro.
So long story short, my passion, even though I was passionate about acting, it led me to leading me to my purpose. So that's where I get the passion over purpose, because just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean you're necessarily called to do that thing. Mm. So that's where that comes from.
Dang. So I wasn't supposed to be in the NBA, then I guess I was.
I could have told you that. I'm like,
there's a few things you need.
Quick 21. I could have told you that. No, I'm kidding.
No, that's insightful, man. And I think there's a lot of folks out, there's millions of people, they fly to LA all the time.
Man.
You
look at American Idol. Those first 2 weeks of American Idol, You see those singers in front of Simon and everybody else, they're singing their heart out, but they can't sing.
Right.
They're passionate.
Well, a lot of people lied to him too, though, man. I see some of those auditions. They're like, "Who told you to come down here and try for this?" Like, my best friend. Like,
Exactly.
That's not a good friend.
Right. Right. That's not.
They just wanted to record that episode, man. Put me on there.
Well, I mean, there's a level of wishful thinking and, reality and stuff. And I think some people are so out of touch with reality and, they go out and they try those things and it's just not very likely. Right?
Especially things that are most, I would say, I'm not going to say it's like, things like acting, singing, sports. There's a lot of naturally just God-given talent that has to be already in somebody.
Right.
That, hard work will take them to, like if say somebody who's insanely talented but had the same work level that you did.
Oh, man.
Like if your friend had the same level of work level that you did, he might be on the side of it. You know what I'm saying? His face will be on the side of it somewhere.
Right.
If it already is.
Right. It is, but
do you think, and this isn't directed towards you, but do you think that some people want that for the wrong reasons? Like they want to be the sports star or whatever for the wrong reasons? Like I have this weird thing where I'm like, I think everybody needs a certain level of ego and pride and stuff, but I think there's points where it's unhealthy and doesn't serve you. And I think that do you believe that there's people that try to go after those things for the wrong reasons?
Oh, for sure.
And that's why they don't succeed. Like they could have all of the skill, but they still fall short because the reason is not.
That's actually, you know what? That's a good question. But I do think that people go out for the wrong reasons. They just want just the fame and just the women or the men or whatever that is. So yeah, and sometimes even though they're very talented, and also too when it comes to in the entertainment industry and any other industry, you want to be around people that are likable. You want because you're going to be working on a set for 3 months. You want to make sure that I like this guy or this girl. And if they have those egos and they're nasty, I know for a fact that there are producers and directors that have hired the next best person because they didn't want to work with that lead person for that long. So you got to have all that stuff in check when you in any field you go into because people, man, you want to be around good people, just good people, people that are, have gratitude and that are friendly and nice and have great work ethic and morals and values. If you don't have that, it's not going to go so far. I don't care how talented you are. People don't want to be around you.
Right.
That's what I feel.
Dang, gotta be likable. Sorry. Tom.
Yeah.
I know, man. There's no hope for me. I might as well throw in the towel.
Nah, man, but that's huge. I wanted to dive into some to appreciate the insight on that because that was hard work could get you. You could be it could be the best 4'2" basketball player in the world, man. But you can't grow. You can't teach yourself to grow.
There's
5
only
feet.
one Muggsy Bogues, my guy.
Right.
Only one of those. So who are some of your top influences? And for some of your growth development, like who are some of your top influences that you kind of derive, to get influenced by?
So I follow a lot of the motivational speakers. I'm a big E.T. fan. E.T. the hip hop preacher, huge. He's the one that inspired me to go into coaching. So that actually, that's who I got certified by, the ETA team. So I'm a part of that family. And so not only him, but then believe it or not, the Oprah Winfrey's, I'm from Chicago. So I grew up on my mom watching Oprah Winfrey when I was a kid. And just to see what she does and what she has grown to be, I'm a huge fan and just can't believe just the success that she's had, but not only being successful, but what she's doing. And so I listen to a lot of things that she says. So, you know, you got Oprah, who else here? I got some young business guys, you know, that I like impressed with. Sometimes I'm looking at them though, like I'm like, okay, if you could just separate this part of it, but I focus on this part because one young guy I've known for years, very talented, business minded, business savvy, and like you said, you know, sometimes when you get around the wrong, it's all about the environment. You know, I'm like, oh man, you just stay in the right lane because you're doing so well. And so, you know, I follow a lot of people, and some people, if they start going in the direction that I'm not, you know, that doesn't align with me, I'm like, you know, I'm gonna have to cut them off. You know, I can't if they don't have the values that I have, I'm gonna have to cut them off. You know, so I've done that that's through my growth. You know, not to say that I'm perfect because I'm not perfect, but there's certain people that I want to be around. You know, I've been married for 18 years. You know, so
congratulations.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks. So welcome to the club too. So.
Yeah, man, I've been married for a total of a month.
18 days.
A little, give me some credit, man. Give me some credit.
We'll round up. We'll say
you know,
month.
round up to a month and some baby change on the side of that. But I aspire to be. You know,
no, you know what I'm saying? You took a great step, and like I said, you know, welcome to the family. You know. And you just want to continue to be around people that, because, you know, that's a whole nother story. I don't even know we want to go there. You know,
hey, we going everywhere over here.
We go there. All. You know, all right. So when it comes to even with relationships, right, and being married, it's a constant debate of should married people hang with single people and all that, right? And I think you can. However, you know, if you're married, for me. And I can only speak from experience. You know, my best friend is my wife, right? So if I'm going out, I want to kick it with my wife and go out. You know, I want to make sure that she's happy because a happy wife is a happy life. For sure. So I try my best to make sure that she's happy, but we love spending time together. So I don't want to risk any, you know, issues coming in. So I do have my boys. It's just that we don't hang out as much. It has to be planned. I plan it out. I was like, hey, this is July now. So I'm like, hey, September 18th, we kicking it on September 18th. I plan it out. And I let my wife know, hey, I'm going. She's like, cool, go out with your boys. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Well, I think as men, we need that. But kind of like you, I have friends that are still single. You know what's helped me? So I think sometimes the fear is like, oh, they got different objective, right? Oh, I might get myself into a sticky situation or whatever. And I don't know that that's true or not. Like, you know, I like to think I got high integrity. But I think the challenge is, and this is in any relationship, whether you're going out with a single friend or a married friend, is a lot of times human nature want to vent.
Yeah.
And, the one thing that I don't do is talk about any issues between my wife and I with somebody outside of our relationship.
Yes.
You know, and I believe that she does the same because a friend is going to want to validate or show support, and sometimes. Actually, probably almost all the time, the support is not beneficial to strengthening your relationship. It's usually like, man, if I were you, I wouldn't deal with that. Or if I were you, you know what I mean? And so you have to guard your relationship and value it and stuff. So you can do it, but like be very intentional or careful about like not bringing up you know, any issues in the home.
Because the thing is, in regards to that, if you do have an argument or, you know, things are kind of rough, yes, you want to avoid speaking to other people about that because now they're going to start having perception about your spouse. Like, oh, she's like that. And then when you get back, because you're going to get back together.
Right.
So now all of a sudden the friends or family members or whatever looking at you like, why are you still with her? You just said that you didn't like her because she did X, Y, Z.
Right.
But that's part of relationships. You're going to have your ups and downs. So that's why you want to keep that stuff in-house. And it blows me away when people put stuff on Facebook and all that, the relationships.
It's so crazy.
I can't believe it.
People.
Like I wouldn't say anything
wild.
to somebody about my
Wild.
wife that I wouldn't say to her or I haven't said to her first.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's where people get in trouble. It's like,
Man.
you
Novel.
know,
Right there.
I've
Facebook.
seen
Crazy.
where a guy got in a altercation with his lady. It wasn't his wife, girlfriend, whatever. And she posted it, the bruises on Facebook saying, "Look what your boy did to me." Like, you put that online? And I'm like, yo, that's not gonna work.
Online is forever, everybody.
Right.
Forever. What was that on
the Sandlot.
Sandlot.
The Sandlot.
Forever.
It is, man, and just learning too. So I'm doing a whole lot of listening. Because I haven't been married for 18, 20 years, 50 years, 46 years, whatever the case is, right? So I do a lot of listening, and the common thread is massive communication.
Yes.
Massive communication. Where are we at? We might not be good right now, but I just need to know where you at. I need you to know. I know you need to probably know where I'm at so we can make sure we're on the same page.
Exactly.
And we can, probably stir this up, make sure we mix good.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We can't just have, I don't know, it's like it's like baking a cake. We just can't have all this, just egg in there, some flour and some sugar and just put it there and that's a cake. You gotta mix that, you gotta mix it up, and we gotta come together.
Yep.
And a lot of people I just noticed this because people come to me, they talk to me a lot all the time about stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, and it is just very, 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 to me, it's just like, like you said, why would somebody say that about their spouse or significant other? I understand people need to get things off of their chest.
Right.
I just need to tell somebody, maybe you just need to be alone for a minute.
Yes.
Be alone, collect your thoughts, never make decisions when you're down.
Well, even write
crazy.
it out, right? Like I need time to cool down, so I don't say because I can have a spiteful tongue. So
Thomas is quick,
and my wife knows that. So like, if I stop talking and I walk into another room, she's not pressing me like, no, we're gonna have this conversation now. She lets me calm down, and she understands that I don't want to say something that I'm gonna regret. But on the flip side, my wife's not that way. My wife needs solitude, so she'll write her thoughts down and she'll journal. And that's how she gets it out. And you know what normally happens, Corey, is when we do finally come back together, we both apologize to each other.
Yeah.
And we've seen, you know what I mean? Like each other's perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I understand why you could be upset. I would be too if I was you. And she's like, you know what? I feel the same way. And dude, and then we hug it out, kiss it out, whatever. And it's all good. But if that's not a conversation you're willing to have with your spouse or anybody for that matter, if you're not willing to have that uncomfortable conversation, it just means that you don't value that relationship. And if you're going to go outside of it, then that's a relationship you're comfortable with losing. Yeah. And so you got to take inventory on, the value of that, if any. So,
no, for me, the one thing that I learned from my wife is whenever it came down for me to make decisions about something, if I'm going to go out somewhere or whatever, put myself in her shoes. And what would she think? If she was doing that, how would I feel? And if I feel some type of way, then I'm not going to do it.
Right.
I always, and then I learned that from her. She's like, how would you feel if this, or, since I know her, I've been with her for a long time. I know how she feels about certain things. So even though I may feel differently, since I know how she feels about certain things, I think about, okay, how would she feel about this? She probably wouldn't like that, so I'm not going to do it. And you'll learn that in time. You'll learn. I know that my wife can't stand Minute Maid orange juice.
You got to go Simply.
I know.
Simply.
Oh, I can't even do Simply. It's Tropicana all day.
Oh, okay. The OG.
I learned the hard way.
Now orange drink?
Tang won't work?
Right. I learned when she was pregnant with my oldest son, one day she asked me, she said, can you go get some orange juice? I was like, no problem. I went to the store. Orange juice is orange juice. To us, I didn't think nothing of it. I got Minute Maid. It was on sale, whatever. Cool, I get it. I come home, I get her the orange juice. She looks at it and freaks out. Like, oh my God, how dare you do this? You don't get this. You know I don't drink this. I'm in my mind, I'm like, you asked for orange juice. I gave you orange juice. But what I learned is that she doesn't like Minute Maid orange juice. I don't like. So after she calmed down and took a minute and explained that to me, she was like, I'm sorry, because she was having this a moment. She was pregnant. I get it.
Right.
You know, and then she explained that I don't drink Minute Maid orange juice, and I've always Tropicana. So I've learned from, my son is 13 now. So for 13 years, I knew, like, from that point on, only Tropicana in the house.
Hey, you guys ever seen Pulp Fiction?
Oh, yeah.
You remember that part where Samuel L. Jackson's eating that dude's burger, Big Kahuna burger? He's eating the burger. He's like, man, I do love a tasty burger. He's like, but my wife's a vegetarian, which pretty much makes me a vegetarian. So I haven't had a burger in a while, you know? It made me think of that, what you said. Yeah,
that's true.
Happy wife, happy life.
There you
funny,
go.
Man. I'll pivot a little bit, though.
Okay.
When I was on your Instagram, you had a different way of spelling entrepreneur. You put N-E-W on there.
Yes.
Elaborate on that a little bit. Explain that a little bit.
So, as a coach, I tried to develop, like, who is my audience? Who do I want to speak to? I mean, granted, a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people, from men, women, older, younger, whatever. But I wanted to niche down my audience. So I wanted to help entrepreneurs, right? But the thing is, even though I've had a couple of businesses, but, at the time, the businesses that I've had those a few years ago. So when I started to become a coach, I didn't have a business, but I wanted to help entrepreneurs. But then I said, well, how can I teach people or help people be entrepreneurs if I'm not one? That was my thought. Like, I'm not an entrepreneur right now. Mm-hmm. So I can't help entrepreneurs. But even though I've had a business in the past, so I didn't want to help establish entrepreneurs that knew, they knew about LLCs, they knew about profit and loss sheets, they knew all that stuff. That wasn't who I wanted to help. I wanted to help the new entrepreneur, the one that's just getting started, that doesn't know about those things yet. And so I said, well, how can I distinguish between entrepreneur? And that's when I put the NEW. So that stands for the new entrepreneur that's just getting started.
Fresh in.
Like, I want to start a business, but I don't know what to do. I'm your man. I can help you with that. I can help you get started in that business. I can help you figure out what type of business you should start. That once you find that business, how we should go from there, strategic, planning and all that stuff. That's
getting off the ground.
Yeah. And is that what led you to to your book?
Yes.
The 10-Step Workpreneur? Because there's a transition, right?
Right. Workpreneur. So Workpreneur is a phrase that I coined because when I wrote my book, I completed that book last year. So September 2020 is when it was completed. And when I was thinking about the title, it used to be the 10-Step Entrepreneur. And it was how to start a business while working a 9-to-5 and balancing life, right? But again, I was having some type of, I kind of doubted myself. How can, again, I tell people how to be entrepreneurs, and even though I've done it in the past, I just wanted to be, it's just like, how can a trainer teach me how to lose weight if they're fat? How can someone teach me to be a millionaire, but they've never had $1 million? So even though I had a business, I would talk to people and they would think that entrepreneurs are people that have their own business and that are making money in that business. So one of my boys would say, but Corey, you've done that. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to constantly have to argue with people and validate who I am. Yeah. So I changed it to workpreneur and made my own phrase. Like, no one knows what a workpreneur is. So I'm going to create that. And that's what the workpreneur. The workpreneur is the person that's starting a business, working a 9-to-5, and balancing life. So now no one can say, you're not an entrepreneur, but I am a workpreneur though. I've done that and I'm doing that. So that's where that came from.
So that basically came out of, I mean, and no disrespect, but a little bit of selfishness, like to justify your own feelings, or not have to justify it, I guess.
It was more so I just didn't, honestly, I had fear. I was scared that, you know, people would question me. Mm-hmm. And I knew I had value to give, but I felt that people wouldn't get past the front cover of the book because they were like, well, who are you? Show me your resume. Right. Show me your receipts. Right. And so that's when that happened, because I knew that I had value in the book and people needed to see it. It's just that I wanted to avoid them not opening it because they didn't believe what they saw. Right. So that's where it came from.
It's crazy what we do to ourselves as humans, right? Like, and Alex can probably relate to this, but I had a similar experience when we first got into our industry and our business, right? We're in the financial industry, but I always had this fear, like, I don't have a degree. I didn't go to school for this. I haven't been the most financially responsible. Had it not been for my wife, I wouldn't have had anything, really, honestly. Like, I would have just been a young, dumb, you know what I mean, shoot from the hip type of dude. But
me too.
But I always had that doubt, you know, like, why? What value do I have to add? And now 7 years into this thing, I'm like, I've spent more time developing myself, learning this stuff, researching products and, you know, concepts and ideas. And I've seen probably thousands of people now and sat with them and assessed their situation, where I have way more experience and knowledge and understanding than somebody who did graduate from a 4-year university at this stage, right? Yep. But it's just, I don't know, it's fascinating to me that we do that to ourselves, and we are constantly searching for this validation where, you know, but only in specific areas, it feels like. I guess this was the point I was trying to make. Like, I'm old enough now, Alex is not quite there, but I'm old enough now where if I go to the doctor, it's not uncommon to have a doctor that's younger than me. Right. You know what I mean? Like a 30-something. And I'm not questioning their ability to tell me what I need to know. Why? Because there's an expertise there. That's right. And but I did that to myself on the entrepreneur journey, and you did that to yourself as well. So it was. It took me a while to really get over and really believe in that. No, I do have value. I can share, you know, because confidence is everything. Mm-hmm. People love somebody with confidence. And when it comes to being an entrepreneur, you know, there's 5 skills that I believe that all entrepreneurs must have, right? Oh, it's about to drop nuggets, man. Get your notebooks ready.
Be ready.
Number 1, the ability to learn. Okay. The ability to learn, being open to learning. Right. And that's what you're talking about, just learning. Number 2, a business strategy. We need to have a business strategy. C, and that's ABC, right? A, B, C, communication, right? You need to be able to communicate. You need to know about sales. 4, sales. And 5, you have to be focused. So if you have those things, the ability to learn, business strategy, communication, sales, and focus, those are the key skills that I believe that all entrepreneurs need in order to be successful. And with confidence, when you have that confidence, when you know those things, whatever business or field you're in, that gives you the confidence, you're able to communicate better because you know what you know. Mm-hmm. You're not doubting. Like, people can see that. People can, when you're trying to get a sale and you're not confident, people could read right through that. Oh, heck yeah. They could read right through that.
Yeah, lack of confidence puts off a lot of energy.
Woo! Big time. Mm-hmm. Big time. So, yeah, the confidence piece is huge. And I didn't have that in the beginning because I was doubting myself.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think most new people do, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, it's walking. It's like walking, you know? Yeah, but also too, when it comes to confident in what you know, but also confident in what you don't. You know,
that's a good one too.
Because some people are really good BSers as well. But also to, all the chickens come to roost eventually. Eventually you end up out there over your skis. You get a little too far in the deep end. So being confident, but also there's a fine line between confidence and cockiness or overdoing it.
Yeah.
But just knowing yourself when you know yourself, and when you learn yourself and know yourself, I believe that establishes a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And being willing to, like you said, being willing to learn and ask questions of people that have been there. Is huge.
The first chapter of my book is evaluate yourself, right? That's chapter number 1, evaluate yourself. And that's that whole self-awareness piece, needing to know who you are. So before you start a business, you need to know who you are. You need to know what you're gifted in, what are your skills, what type of personality do you have? And there's different ways of discovering, who you are. There's lots of assessments out there. Or if you don't want to pay for an assessment, you can ask your brother or sister, mom or dad, like, hey,
for Christmas. No, go ahead.
No, but tell me about myself. When you see me, what do you see? Ask a friend, like, when you see me, do I have, am I a naturally outgoing person? Am I a shy person? Because a lot of times we think we know who we are, but you ask a friend, they're like, nah, you're not like that. You think you're like that, but you're not. So that's where, having those assessments, and I'm certified. I'm certified with the flight assessment and DISC assessment, where that's one of the things that I do with my clients. That's the first thing that I do. It's like, we need to do an assessment because we need to know who you are, and then I can help you from there. And then you start your business from there.
Okay, I'm a little curious about that though. Like, how much do you take as far as like, okay, so like people that have a long-term relationship with you? You said like your friends. You can ask your friend like, "Am I this way?" Do you take that with a grain of salt, or do you really like double down on what they say? Like, for example, like, "Oh man, I think I'm really good at this," and they're like, "No, you suck," right? Like, are you like, okay, change a plan, or do like how much of that do you?
Well, it depends on that individual. It depends on that individual. Like, do they really want to know? And, that could be a hard pill to swallow when someone really tells you who they believe you are. What the public perceives you as. We know people. You all know people that are really, really nice people. Really have a good heart. But maybe their demeanor doesn't show that. And so on the outside, people are like, nah, they're mean, they're this, that, and the other. But no, they're not. They're just a big teddy bear, whatever. But it depends on that individual, on if they want to learn and want to grow, they need to be open. Like I said, ability to learn, having that openness to learn. So if they really want to learn, they should take that in, not with a grain of salt, and say, okay, let me think about that. Maybe I should do this instead then, But having a coach, having a personal development coach, having a mentor, that's key. You need to have someone that's there to share with you what you need to know in order to get where you need to go. Okay. You got to have that.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Again, I didn't have a mentor until 2016. I didn't know,
I was asking that for my personal self because I'm like, man, I feel like, so I have core values, right, that I don't, strain from. They're my foundation, are my core values, but I don't show up the same for everybody. So I can ask the same question to 5 different people and I'm going to get 4 or 5 different answers. And so that's why I was asking, like, how much of that does one actually take in? Because adapt, chameleon, right? Situations and things like that. But certain people know me as the fun guy. Other people might know me as the serious guy. My family knows me as the loving guy, right? But it depends on what version of me you're getting.
And it's, it's the ones that are close to you. That's who you want to ask. Because the people that are close to you, they know who you are.
Right.
Even though when, my family laughs at me when I'm at work because I don't talk the same when I'm at work, right? I remember one day they called the job and I answered in my, business voice, and they're like, "Why are you talking like that? Dad, you sound weird." But when we're at home and we're just being ourselves, we just kick it, chill, whatever, But I'm aware when I'm out, I speak a certain way, So, but they know who I really am. The outside people may see me as this, but the ones close to me know me. So that's who you want to ask.
Cool.
Absolutely, man. Well, so what would you say in the past, year since you've, about year, 2 years since you've really delved deep into into your business of being a personal development coach, what would you say are some of your biggest wins or your biggest win and one of your biggest learns?
Ooh, good one. I'll say one of my biggest wins was getting my first client in January of this year. That was a big win for me because I was still, still figuring it out, and it was, during this whole quarantine and all that, a lot of people were getting on the Clubhouse platform, right? Actually, I was talking to Alex about that, and we've been in some rooms back in the day, right? But from Clubhouse is where I started meeting a lot of different people, and I started to get on different stages and sell myself and drop some gems, and people started reaching out. And so this one young lady reached out, and her statement was, what you said really affected me, and I would love to have you as a personal development coach. So I'm like, ooh, okay. So I, connected with her, contacted her, we talked. I did an assessment with her, and I gave her an offer. And I was like kind of just throwing stuff out there because I'd never done it. I'd never had a client before, so I didn't know really what to say. And she was like, "No problem. I'm in." I was like, "Oh, wow, this is my first,
it worked."
Yeah. I was like, "Okay." And she was like, "What do I do next?" I was like, "You know what? I'll email you, later on tonight." And I had to figure out what to do. I was like, okay.
You had to drop a contract and do all that?
I didn't know all that stuff. I was like, okay, contracts. Okay, Google contracts. All right. So, and the crazy thing about it is, because she was my first, I was trying to figure things out, and I was kind of learning as I was going. Even though I've been certified, I'd never had a real client.
Right.
So I was learning as we were going, but things just started, working. And that was in January. We did an 8-week, I did an 8-week program with her. We finished the 8 weeks. She said, "Hey, let's do it again." And we did another 8 weeks, finished that. Say, "Can I just do a whole year?" And I was like, yeah. So I had my first client. I kind of hit a home run with that. I actually have her for a whole year. She paid for a whole year. And so that was the biggest win. And that really gave me the confidence that, oh, I know what I'm talking about now. Because if I did not know what I was talking about, she wouldn't have signed up for another 8 weeks or whatever.
Right.
So that was the biggest win. I'll say my biggest lesson, I would say sometimes being overconfident. Sometimes I've for me and my type of personality, I'm a very outgoing, type of person. I love people. But one of those things about me that I've learned, and this is just through doing the assessment on myself, is that sometimes I could be a little bit overconfident and believing too much in people sometimes as well. That I believe that everybody's a winner. And I believe that, oh, no, we can do it. It's okay. You can, and this even when I was working my regular 9-to-5 and just believing in people that may not have had the skills that I may needed to let go. But I was just like, no, you got it. And my bosses are looking at me like, why is that person still there? But I was just like, no, he has it. End up biting me in the butt with that, because not only did they not get to where I thought they could, but then found out that they were stealing too. So that just just killed me. And I was like, man, I put all my trust and like I just believed in everybody that you could do it, but everybody's not a good person.
Right.
And that person was using me. Like, oh, Corey, I'm trying, and he's stealing money behind me. So that was a lesson that I learned, that I do need to be more aware that everybody is not good at heart, you know? So kind of just learn that, keep my eye on everybody. Even though I trust a lot of people, I'm very trusting, but still got one eye open.
Sure.
Always keep one eye open.
Yeah, have a good filter, having a better character assessing character, having a better filter for that, because that happens a lot. I've been in that. I've had that situation happen to me too. Especially in business.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, that was the one.
Oh man, I can't even talk about it on here. Oh my goodness. But man, that, you know, I got a couple more talks about it, but I'll close out with this last one, man. Servant leadership.
Ooh. Oh wow.
You know, and then also John, if you had another couple questions, but servant leadership, man. So what does servant leadership mean to you?
Putting others first and yourself last. That's servant leadership. So whenever I'm in a situation where I'm in a management situation, I always put my team first, because I believe that if I make sure that they're taken care of, they then will take care of the client, and the client will take care of the business, right? So I always believe that out of all the different types of leadership styles out there, and there's a lot of them, I honestly believe that servant leadership is the one that will win. You have people like Simon Sinek, you know, he, you know, speaker, and he talks on, and
leaders eat last.
There you go. Right. He has that mindset. The CEO at Virgin that just went into outer space,
Branson,
he's a servant leader, you know. Even in sports, you know, I'm telling you, I learned when I was doing research on servant leadership, the San Antonio Spurs, their culture is all about servant leadership. So when Tim Duncan was winning, you know, during that era when he was winning and Spurs were winning, it was all about servant leadership. And the thing is, he's not a very outspoken athlete, but he's about making sure that his team, you know, they get the ball. You know, he gave Tony Parker, you know, the opportunity to shine. You know, Ginobili and all these others. He was like, because he could have said, this is my team. And the Spurs would have said, okay, this is your team. But he's like, no, bring them on. Because he knew that if I gave them the opportunity to succeed, the whole team would succeed. Mm-hmm. And that was the culture of the Spurs. So much that everyone always thinks about Michael Jordan, you know, that he's like, oh, MJ, you know, 6 rings and all that. But a lot of people don't pay attention that he didn't have 6 rings. He didn't start off with 6 rings. He was losing all the time.
Mm-hmm. He was getting beat up by the Pistons.
Pistons was killing him. And but the thing was, everybody always talked about Mike. I want to be like Mike. You know, the Gatorade, the McDonald's. But when Mike realized that the Spurs was winning, he actually followed and saw what they were doing there and said, okay, servant leadership. So it's not about me. You know what? Let's bring on somebody else. Oh, let's get a Pippen. Okay, cool. Let me get a Pippen. Let me get a Rodman. And he let them shine. And when he did that, that's when they started winning.
Triangle, baby.
There you go. There you go. And so it's that servant leadership that I believe that when you have that type of mindset and that type of leadership style, that's where winners are. That's my thought on that.
That's interesting, man. Servant leadership. I pulled up a quote. It was from Booker Washington. It was like, if you want to lift up yourself, lift up others.
Yep. There it is.
You know, and I've learned, especially in the field that we're in, some of the best people, man, they care about they love their people hard. They love them hard. Like they're like, man, like they know more about their people's dreams and visions, and like they know about it. Yeah, you know, and they remind their people like, look, you told me you want to do this. You told me here's what we got to do. Yep, let's do this. But also knowing too to discern. I think there's also the fine, like we were talking about earlier, not letting people kind of step on take advantage of that as well. So learning when to, you know what, I gotta let this one go.
Right.
So when do we know that? That's a tough thing too. When do we know that?
Yeah. No, that's I would say that would be the con of being a servant leader, is not knowing when to cut it. And that was where I was, and when I got burned. So is having that discernment and I'm like, okay, I gotta pull the plug on this one. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
Absolutely, man. Shoosh. Man, I love it.
The greatest servant leader was Jesus Christ himself.
There you go.
Right? And he was washing the feet of his disciples. And even some of them he knew were going to, do you know what I mean?
Yep. He knew it.
He knew they were going to betray him and they were going to, not acknowledge their relationship with him and stuff. And he still did it. So, yeah, I mean, in our world, got to cut some people off for sure for your own sanity. But I think it's a beautiful thing that you stay servant and not get tainted by because I think there's more good than there is bad.
I agree.
Absolutely. So, especially you have that vision and you know where you're going, the overall vision of where you're going. You know there's going to be some people that are going to be with you. You know some people are only going to be here for a season.
That's right.
Knowing when it's like, oh, well, I guess that season was up, and knowing when to let go and not let
it devastate you, right?
Not
like
let it devastate you.
Attachment to that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. No, when you said that, there people are in our lives for a season, a reason, and a lifetime. We have those that are in our lives that we got those that we grew up with in elementary school, they're our boys or our homegirls or whatever. We may not talk to them as much now, but they're always going to be our homegirls, our homeboys, right? But then we have people that come in our lives that they're in our lives for a reason. They're there. There's a guy that came into my life that showed me the whole entrepreneurial world that I wasn't aware of and taught me how to look at P&Ls, broke down spreadsheets, talked about all these different things, numbers and knowing profits and loss and all that stuff. And for that year and a half, about, I'll say 3 years, we were together like all the time. And he's moved on to another state, but he was the one that showed me and opened that door of entrepreneurship. So that was a reason, and then there's those that are there for a season, it may be a 10-year season or a 20-year season that, this is your homeboy, this is your girl, this, that, and the other, but, married and this, that, and the other, and we kind of move our separate way. We're kind of cool, still cool, but that was a season where it was just, me and my boy. Sorry about that.
You're good. You're the energy.
Yeah. So it's a season, a reason, and a lifetime.
Absolutely, man. Awesome. I like that. I feel like that's a high point right there.
Yeah.
To go ahead and wrap it up, man. But I think, man, today was amazing.
No.
Today was solid. Got some great insight, man. Appreciate you coming through.
Anytime, man.
Where could they find you?
Absolutely.
Oh man. I'm really big.
Camera right there.
There we go.
Boom.
I'm really big on IG. Corey with the hat, and that's Corey Corey. They're probably gonna put something up here showing where it is and all that stuff. But it's with the hat. I'm always with the hat. It's funny if I don't wear the hat, then people don't know who I am. So I'm leaving it on all the time. So definitely IG, Facebook, Corey Curties. LinkedIn is Corey Curties as well. CURTIES. And then also,
we're going to get the book.
CoreyCurties.com. CoreyCurties.com. You go, CoreyCurties.com, CoreyCurties.com. Everything's on there. The book, the quotes, testimonials, interviews, is all there. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Absolutely, man. Well, man, today was a doozy.
I enjoyed
Today was a doozy, man. Amazing. So just remember, man, no pressure, no diamonds. Catch us, you know where to catch us. We're on all the major platforms, man. Please check us out. Like, subscribe, comment, share this podcast with a friend. This one, is very, very valuable in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Sure. I mean, I think there's a lot of our listeners that are also in that transition. Some of them have already transitioned to full entrepreneurship. Some of them are in that transition or trying to figure out how to go from a 9 to 5, break that chain, and get into that financial freedom and freedom of time. And so I think them checking out your book and continuing to tune into this podcast, that's actually our entire mission and our vision with this, is to help everybody that's up and coming and looking to make that move develop in some way, shape, or form. And so if we've added some value, like my guy Alex said, like, share, subscribe, and check us out, and check out Corey.
Smash that like button, man. Appreciate it. Hey, without no further ado, no pressure.
No diamonds.
Let's get it.